Hi, everyone, and welcome to Studio Jake. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. All of you are fantastic. I'm not like uh, some of these other YouTubers who think it's all about them. I know that you helped me out, so thank you for coming to my vidcast where I talk about anime, film, novels, music sometimes, and a whole host of other pop culture topics, including comic books. You know me, I'm a big comic book fan. Um, Up here on my shelf, it's kind of hard to see. I've got a whole bunch of my favorite graphic novels. I've got even more in other rooms here. I've got the posters behind me, and I'm not saying this, to puff up my credentials, obviously. But I just wanted to, for those of you who might be new, I wanted you to know that this is something I do. I collect comic books. Very proud of my collection. I also have some collectibles, not too many. I don't like to junk up my house, but still, this is something that's interesting because one thing we keep hearing from the corporate press, especially the nerd corporate press, which isn't a real thing, there should be no access media nerd press. It should all be, in my humble opinion, I'm not saying that they can't have, some sort of, or be a subsidiary of some sort. I'm not. I'm totally independent. I don't have any billionaire backers or whatever. I'm totally independent. And I do that so I can tell you exactly how I feel. And that includes with comic books, because what we're seeing from this access media, from the corporate press, is they're telling us that comic books are fine, that it's all fine, all quiet on the Western Front, this whole thing, and it's absolute nonsense. You can see this with Comicron and with other stuff. Now they try to find ways to puff up the numbers. It's usually number ones that sell very well, or graphic novels that are collections of older stories, particularly of the late 90s and the early 2000s. I've started collecting the New 52 Batman series. I'm not a big fan of New 52 Superman. I thought he was kind of arrogant, but I do like the New 52 Batman. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's run, one of the top. So here's another way we know that the comic books aren't doing too well. Manga is obviously eating their lunch. I've started primarily collecting manga. I wrote a whole article on my website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I talk about how I'm canceled on my pools. The only one I still have going for the mainstream is Batman the Knight. There's one more issue left that I need to get. And after that, I'm not doing any more pools. I'll only do a comic if it's one from a writer or an artist that I trust. Now, another way you find that comic books aren't doing too well, and this comes from Spencer Bakuli. Spencer, I apologize. No idea if I'm saying your name correctly. Please, if you watch this, let me know in the comments. But Spencer writes for Bounding Into Comics, which you should, if you want real news about what's going on in gaming, comic book, tabletop news, head over to boundingintocomics.com. This is where I got this article. So the headline is Amazon cuts nearly 75% of Comixology staff as part of sweeping company layoffs. So everyone knows Amazon is having layoffs. Jeff Bezos, he wants to dump WAPO, the rumor is, so he can buy the Washington Commanders, I think. Anyway, according to this article, and I'm reading from it, according to a now former employee, Comixology has reportedly lost the majority of its workforce as a result of parent companies Amazon's latest round of sweeping layoffs. So if you don't know what Comixology is, it was basically a digital publisher of comics. DC and Marvel have their own, but but they did use Comixology, and a lot of indie creators used it. So continuing on with the article, as part of their recently announced desire to eliminate 1,800 jobs across its retail and human resources department, the largest such downsizing measure in the company's history, Amazon began breaking the bad news to affected employees on January 18th. The exit out of COVID this past year was challenging, explained Amazon retail CEO Doug Harrington. He announced this in a memo. He said, as we head into 2023, we remain in uncertain economic times. I skipped ahead a little bit because the memo is really long. Therefore, we've determined that we need to take further steps to improve our cost structure so we can keep investing in the customer experience that attract customers to Amazon and grow our business. I wonder why the showrunners of The Rings of Power didn't get that cut. But anyway, So Bounding into Comics continues. Though the full extent and exact details of Amazon's cost-cutting plans have yet to be disclosed to the public, it appears that one division was hit particularly hard by the news, Comixology. So the article goes on to talk about Mixology. They said that a person named Scott McGovern says that according to the article, it says that it looks like from the outside that at least 50% of the staff have been let go, closer to 25, he clarified later. So this is actually not too surprising to me. Like I said, mainstream comic books are incredibly sick. They have been for many years, at least since 2016. They're hiring writers who put self-insert characters or insert themselves on popular characters. They're changing characters for an agenda. And readers of comic books don't care about that. And yeah, I'm actually really excited because before it would drive people like me crazy because we would watch as nerds who are in the commentary space, they would just, devour whatever they would come. But now, and I would always say, no, vote with your wallet. Stop giving these people your hard-earned cash. Go back and buy older stuff, which is, like I said, which is what I'm doing. I'm buying manga and older stuff because we saw what they were doing with our beloved characters, changing orientation of characters, race swapping, sex swapping, gender swapping, whatever it is, inserting that pronoun nonsense into casual conversation like that's a regular way people talk. Spoiler alert, it's not. But I'm not saying that I'm happy about employees being laid off. What I'm saying is if comic books had particularly the big two, had just done it right the first time and not hired these greedy writers who are driven by the waves and the winds of social media, or these Tumblr artists who wouldn't know a good art piece if it kicked them in the head, I would like to see the comic book industry go back to the basics with their characters, with their artwork, with their stories, and then maybe stuff like, Comixology or what's happening at Marvel, what's happening at DC doesn't happen. Because I want people to be employed, but I want them to be, but I don't want these companies to continue to destroy these characters because it doesn't just affect the consumer, right? We're seeing that right now. It also affects just regular workers' jobs. That's why it's important to put excellence ahead. Now, continue to vote with your wallet. Go buy manga. Buy the older stuff, buy indie comics, go to Indiegogo. You can find all kinds of independent projects. Same with Kickstarter. Head over there, check them out. There's all kinds of incredible stories on the independent realm. And, there's also studios doing great stuff like Boom Studios with Berserker. Check out stuff like that. You don't have to be limited to just 1, 2, or 3 companies. So my heart goes out to all these workers, and I hope that they are able to find good, stable jobs after this, and I hope that the comic book industry will see this as a reason to course correct. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up, that you'll leave me a comment, tell me what you think, that you'll share it out with your friends, and of course, consider subscribing to StudioJake. I cover all kinds of nerd and pop culture topics, including film, television, anime, comic books, and so much more. I hope that you'll also head over to my main website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have even more news, views, and commentary. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, head over to my locals page. That's StudioJakeMedia.locals.com. It's the best way to support me. I'm trying to build a little community there. I have exclusive reviews and articles, so definitely head over there and check it out. And I'll see you next time, right here on Studio Jake.